pro-Trump college students again under fire, this time by a SUNY Buffalo professor who claims in a new study that these conservative students are more likely to show prejudice against international students. The professor of that study writing, quote, "Some of President Trump's policies, such as promoting America first, the travel ban, and his talk of building a wall are in line with unwelcoming attitudes toward immigrants. This finding tells us that if you statistically account for stereotypes, those domestic students who were higher in Trump support still had significantly higher prejudice." Here to react, campus reform correspondent and University at Buffalo, at the SUNY University at Buffalo student, Dave Ross. Dave, thanks for being here this morning. When you see this study and this professor at your university saying if you support President Trump, you're just likely to be prejudiced toward immigrants, what do you make of that?
I just want to say hi. Thanks for having me on.
Of course.
Yeah, this is just another piece of evidence of leftist intolerance that we see on college campuses far too often at the Leadership Institute's campusreform.org, way too often. Academia across the USA has been plagued with this view that anybody who self-identifies with libertarian or conservative views must somehow be racist, xenophobic, sexist, or any other pejorative term that we can really think of. And right now, the president and his supporters have become the object of the left's intolerance and outright hatred even. We see it all over the mainstream media. Sure. As well.
Well, of course. I mean, is having prudence in your immigration policy the same as having prejudice toward people who are attempting to cross your border illegally, some of the things that have been talked about very prominently? Is that distinction ever made?
She really doesn't make that distinction in the study. What I find really interesting about this study is the people who she actually surveyed. 389 introductory psychology students were surveyed. All of them were native-born students. None of them were foreign-born students. So we don't even actually know how the international students feel about this issue. So this is almost like purely speculative. And I know how these introductory psychology classes work. They're all freshmen. They're all first semester sophomores. They've never been to a college campus before. You know, maybe if they would have asked a junior or a senior student, they would have had, more insight into what prejudice might exist on campus, if any exists at all. But they're asking these kids who are brand new to the college university experience. They don't know what's going on yet. So
let me ask you in your group.
Why are they asking these people? Because they know that they're wrong. That's why.
Well, sure. Now you run a pro-Trump group on campus. Is it just a bunch of white males running around talking about prejudice, or is this a group that's got people from a lot of different perspectives?
Right. So the group that I started on campus, UB Young Americans for Liberty, we're actually in the process of recruitment right now. We don't have a ton of members yet. It's me and a couple other friends right now. We're trying to get the ball rolling. But I'm a member of another political group on campus called UB Young Americans for Freedom, and that's a much more pro-Trump, conservative values oriented group. And there's a lot of diversity prevalent in the group, including some international students. At our meeting last week, we actually had a Chinese international student saying that he supports building the wall with Mexico. So, I mean, just because you support Trump views doesn't make you this horrible racist individual. It's absurd. In psychology departments, liberal professors to conservative professors in the top 40 schools outrank them 17-1. Not surprising, academia is left-leaning. What's been the response of the school toward all this? The response of the school has been zero. This is what goes on all across the country. People that I've talked to on campus haven't even heard of this study. It's so low key because it's not mind blowing at all. It's an extremely mainstream view. I'm sure most college professors in the soft sciences, the liberal arts, probably feel this way about Trump students. They're like, oh, those darn Trump students coming to class. So, I mean, the only people who knew about this study on campus were fellow conservative students like me, because it's just appalling that these college employees who get funded by my parents' taxpayer dollars,
because it affirms the worldview that they want to have inside their campus bubble. There's no doubt. Dave Ross, thank you for bringing us inside that bubble and bursting it. We've got to leave it right there. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You got it. Well, we